A2 is about the reciprocal function family. And if you look at this key concept box, they talk about what a graph of a reciprocal function looks like. As you could tell, kind of it's a double U and types of things. And we'll start talking about this more later when we get into conic sections. But the general form of the reciprocal function is a over x minus h plus k. This is not the first time you've seen minus h plus k before. Okay, make sure you have that copied down so you can see it. Again, a of x is your base function, or its apparent reciprocal function is y equals 1 over x, is shown to the right. So a, h, and k translate the function just like it used to in other stuff that we've talked about. So in example 1, they talk about what is the graph of y equals 8 over x, where x cannot equal 0, and identify the x and y intercepts, and the asymptotes also state the domain and range. The graph is the graph. You guys you're adept enough in your calculators that you could plug this in your calculator and come with a graph. Again, I would do a table of some sort and go from that. The graph of it kind of goes somewhere along this, and I'm just going to sketch it so you can kind of see it. Again, here and up to here, and it doesn't touch there, and it doesn't touch here. I shouldn't have drawn like that. It should be more like that. And the other side, it's going to look something along those lines. Again, it's never going to touch this one, and then it's going to come down and never touch that line either. Okay, that's kind of what it's how it's going to be. So we're talking about intercepts. As you notice, it never intercepts the y-intercept or the y-axis, and it never intersects the x-axis. So there are no x and y intercepts. We know there's no y-intercept because x can't equal 0. So it can't hit the y-axis. And there's no x-intercept because the top never changes. It's never 0. So therefore y is never 0. Okay? But when we're talking about the asymptotes, the x-axis is the horizontal asymptote. Again, you have the horizontal and the vertical asymptotes. So horizontal, notice it never touches the x-axis, so that's your horizontal one. And then what would be your vertical asymptote would be the y-axis. Okay? And kind of along with your intercepts, the domain is all real numbers except 0, and your range is, again, all real numbers where y does not equal 0 as well. This is really how you tell what I was just talking about. Your translations also kind of get into your asymptotes as well. Your minus h and your plus k, those are really what your horizontal and vertical asymptotes are. So in that last problem we had, our horizontal asymptote, there was no h after that x, so that's what it was. And same thing with k, that was the y equals 0 and x equals 0 were your asymptotes for that particular line. And again, this is your translation of that stuff as you go through. So if I'm looking at this example, what is the graph of y equals 1 over x plus 1 minus 2? Identify the domain and range. So I'm looking at the translation. What's my vertical asymptote? Well, I'm sorry, my horizontal asymptote. Well, that deals with this right here. So x plus 1 equals 0 basically is what you're talking about. But what is my asymptote here? Remember, it's x minus h. Well, what's my h? Plus 1, what happened? Well, it's actually my x asymptote is x equals negative 1. So where's that line at? And draw your line. So it's just a dashed line. Remember, dashed lines don't exist, so that's how we represent it. And that's where that asymptote is. What about my y? Well, let's come over to where the k is. The k is negative 2. So my vertical one, is y equals negative 2. So let's go down to 2 and draw your line. So once you sketch your asymptotes, you can go ahead and draw this graph. Again, it comes close to it but never touches in both directions. So there's the one graph, and here's your other graph. So what's my domain and range? My domain, again, is all real numbers, except x cannot equal what now? X can equal negative 1, because that's my asymptote. What's my range? Again, it's all real numbers. What's y? What can't y equal? Y can't equal negative 2, because that's my asymptote. And it's all correlated into each other. Example 4 talks about the graph of the function as a translation of y equals 2 over x. What is the equation of the function? Well, look at your asymptotes again. what is my x asymptote? Well, if I come over, these go by 2, so that's really 2, that's really 4. Well, it's halfway between, so this x equals -3 is my vertical asymptote. What's my horizontal one? Okay, I'll go up here. It's what? 2, 4. It's y equals 4. So how can I represent that one? In my function. Well, that's not going to change. Y equals 2 over is not going to change. It's x minus h, which is -3, plus k, which is 4. So what is my actual function? Y equals 2 over x plus 3 plus 4.